We'll talk about the markets in just about a minute. But first, this is the latest from the Global Transparency International Corruption Ranking or Corruption Perception Index. Don't forget, what is what they call perception index, not actual corrupt practices, but the perception of corruption in countries. So this is an annual report that is fixed. Of course, you already know that. So Nigeria, according to a news report, has moved marginally from 148th position to 144. Nigeria moved 4 steps into a better or healthier position. However, the report says Nigeria's scoring out of 100 is still close to the bottom, 27. We didn't improve on our scoring, which was 27 out of 100 points. However, we moved 4 notches into a healthier territory as far as perception on corrupt practices in the country is concerned. That's the story out there. We have more for you later today on news, and of course throughout the day we'll try to drill down a little bit more on that. So let's get to the FMDQ exchange place. We will talk. And currency, the head of FX trading at FBN Quest Merchant Bank is live to us from downtown Lagos, Ajibola Ero Phillips. Good morning. It's good to have you on the program.
Good morning, boss.
I love currency conversation. Anytime you're talking currency. So at FBN Quest, what's your reading of where we are at the moment as we start in the brand new year? What's your FX play?
There's still CBN, the market is still fairly stable right now. We've been getting some inflows from the mostly from the FBIs that help to provide liquidity in the FX market. It's a bit down this week in comparison to last week, but that has helped steady the market generally, and rates are currently trading around 362.5, and that has been the trend since the turn of the year. And we expect demand to pick up as soon as the importers begin to get into the gear and import for for the year. But again, CBN has continued to show that they are able to intervene in the market. So they've intervened through retail SMIs by selling almost $297 million last week, and then they've intervened again this week, selling about $210 million via the wholesale, as well as to the SME and PTA and then invisible interventions. So we're not expecting a lot of changes for the rest of the week. We expect that rates will still remain stable at this level, and the same too goes for the parallel market that has remained stable around 362, 363 levels.
Okay, so if you're talking about the FPIs and those foreign investors, what's their chief concern when they talk to you on phone or via emails when asking you to disclose, in particular, what those emails are saying on phone calls? But are they worried about our road to the next general elections? Are there concerns about what's going on out there?
Yeah, so the most chief concern for most of them is the elections, and to see how we're able to transition into the next democratic rule. I mean, we've shown that we are able to do that through the last election. So that's the major thing, that's the major worry that they have on their minds. What's going to happen with elections? Is there going to be a stalemate, or there's not going to be a stalemate? But again, also some of the things worrying them are the tapering that has eased off in the offshore market. Most of these FPIs are looking for where they get their best yields, even though they have an eye on what is happening politically in Nigeria as well.
Yeah, so you talking about yields. So although you are the head of the FX dealing, but I'm sure you sit in the same room with your debt market dealers and traders as well.
Yes. So for the debt market, the bonds, I'll start with the bonds. The bond, there was a bit of buying yesterday from the mid to the long end of the curve, trading around 15 and 15.15. Most of the buying interest seems to be from the local investors, BFAs and other banks. For the outlook for the bonds market, we don't expect a lot of changes, except that there's going to be an auction tomorrow. The amount on offer, DMO finally released the auction calendar for the year. The amount on offer was slightly higher than what was at the last auction. So there's 50 billion on offer across the maturities. We don't expect a change in the yields, except for the 10-year that we expect that they will debut slightly lower at around 15.3 and 15.35. And that's just because that trades two-way in the FMDQ OTC market as against the other bonds that are not currently trading two-way market. For the bills market, there was a bit of sell-off in the short to the mid end of the curve. Also, there was an OMO auction yesterday. CBN selling about 56.9 billion, more maturities. Rates remain the same. The long end still remains at 15%. Also for the outlook, there's a PME auction tomorrow as well. We don't expect any significant change for the PME. There's also an OMO maturity this week of about 193 or 196 billion. CBN has started mopping up, so we expect that mop-up will continue throughout the whole of the week. So we expect a lot of changes in the T-bills market.
Okay. Ajibola, thank you very much. Ajibola Aero Phillips, the head of FX dealing at FBN Quest Merchant Bank, live to us from FMDQ Exchange Place. Thank you very much. You have a great day. Let's get together sometime and talk about that. Let's switch gear very quickly and talk about the stock market. Of course, the first hour of trading and the opening gang was just about an hour or so ago. Temple Ashaju is tracking that for us and is back to wrap up the show with us. Temple. Okay, let's get us this on. The folks at the FX and the Treasury bills and bond market says things are stable, it's a little bit calm, even though investors are still worried about a political transition. What are you hearing at the trading floor?
I'm hearing that might be very relative, actually, because for a lot of the dealers here, and of course some of the traders that still deal on the bonds market, it's a bit bearish for them, actually. But if you look at equity side of the markets, this morning we're seeing further decline in the key benchmark index, down right now by some 0.11%, and that's 11 basis points. And of course, we've seen a volume around 11.13 million units. And of course, that's valued at some 78.54 million naira, and it keeps growing, actually. You know how the numbers crunch on a daily basis. Where we're seeing the sell down, we're seeing more sell down on all of those banking names again. Zenith Bank is down more than 1%. Access Bank is also down more than 1%, in spite of the fact that Access Bank just released a notice to the Nigerian Stock Exchange announcing the approval of its audited financial statement by the board members on 28th of January, as it had promised that it will do that meeting, and that meeting has now been concluded. So I think the audited financial statement has now probably been forwarded to the central bank, which is the immediate regulator, and from there it now gets to the stock exchange. The same thing is coming for a few other companies that are also going to be making their earnings position known to the Nigerian Stock Exchange going forward. So we also have Academic Press. Academic Press is about the topmost loser right now in the market. FCMB has lost some 3.7% in its share price, and Diamond Bank is about the only company that seems to be found on the gainers chart of the market. It's up some 0.02% in the market, Bosun.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very tough day again for the banks. That's how we started yesterday, on a very heavy nosediving for the market, and we managed to finish off, even though still negative in the day. Quite a number of these earnings, but if we leave that a little bit, look at the earnings coming through. It's the smaller companies that are reporting, not the big names yet. Nimeth International, which is a healthcare, is just also turning in its numbers, as it were.
Yes, Bosin. Nimeth is turning in. A few other companies too are doing their quarterly earnings, especially companies that have their close period different from December the 31st of every year. They are the ones making their numbers really released to the stock exchange now. But we know that a lot of, given the fact that a lot of companies have announced their close period in the past few weeks, that's to the Nigerian Stock Exchange and to their immediate regulators, we do believe that they will start making their numbers available to the market very soon. Access Bank has already sent a very positive signal in that direction to the market, and hoping that in the next few weeks, or in the next few days actually, the number for Access Bank will be released to the market, again because of the fact that this first half of the year is very significant for its merger with Diamond Bank, or acquisition of Diamond Bank. So they might want to speed up things on that particular aspect of the market and make that known. And of course, some of the banking names will also do the same thing going forward, Bosun.
Yes, I agree with you. Again, this will most likely be the standalone last financial statement of Access Bank before that corporate wedlock with Diamond Bank. Very interesting number we're going to be looking at. Thank you very much, Temple. And we appreciate you being here with us here on the program, our business correspondent from the Nigerian Stock Exchange trading floor. Let's come back to you tomorrow. But the big story today, before we forget, that's the Transparency International. Nigeria posting 4 steps better, 148 to 144. Thank you, everyone. Nice job. Let's see you again tomorrow, shall we?